Hello, hello, hello. Greetings, beautiful souls. This is Alicia. I am Barney Matahari, and I am back today with another reading. It's been a little while since I've been here, so it is good to be back. Life's been lifing, and astrology has been astrologizing, and I've been looking after myself. And now we're going to get into a topic for today, which is, why are they jealous of you? So we've got 3 piles today. Pile number 1, we've got this lovely armband, this beaded armband, and that is all the way from Kenya. Pile number 2, we have got this beautiful floral fan, and that is from Cuba. And pile number 3, we have got this beautiful choker, and that came from Ireland. So take as much time as you need, decide which pile is for you, and I will see you at your reading. All right, pile number 1. Let's pop your 1 up here and your armband here, so that we know which one is for you. So we're going to take a couple of cards from the Fairies Oracle deck for you, pile number 1, and then we'll pull some tarot for you. So, why are they jealous of my pile number 1's spirit? Tap me into the energy of pile number 1's jealousies. Jealousies being the people who are jealous of them. And we've got 2 that just flew out here. So we've actually got 3. So I'm going to take all 3. We've got Epona's Wild Daughters. Card number 54. We have got Mick the Meomancer. Card number 42. And we've got Oh That's Gnome. Card number 26. And for you, pile number 1, we are going to pull some tarot from the Way of the Panda. All right. Oops. Straight out, we've got the King of Wands. We have some cards that are just flying out of the deck. We've got the 5 of Wands, the Magician, 3 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, 6 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles. And I'm going to take 1 more, I think. King of Swords. And we've also got the 6 of Pentacles, which came out. And the Emperor. So you had a lot of cards that just kind of flew out there for you, pile number 1. And I'm seeing a lot of masculine energy and competitiveness around you, pile number 1. It looks like I'm tapping into your energy. Excuse me. Excuse me. And you've got quite a lot of masculine energy. You've got the Emperor, you've got the Magician, you have got the King of Swords, and then you've got a lot of Wands and Swords energy. You've got the 2 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, and the 4 of Pentacles also. But you've got a lot of fire and air on the chart. And if you'll notice, the one card that you do have that's kind of the only one that's really screaming feminine, even though Pentacles energy, Earth energy, is one of the feminine elements, she's looking away. So I feel like that you've had to be really turned away from your feminine energy, because a lot of people have come at you. I'm getting very strongly for you, pile number one, that it's not specifically one person that has been up in your business. It has not been one person specifically that has jealousy towards you. I feel like you've got actually a lot of competitors, a lot of rivals, a lot of people that try to rival you, and a lot of people that try to get one over on you. I'm seeing this oh that's gnome card as somebody who's just like, they're almost in their head trying to figure out how to get one over on you. And they're sitting there trying to, and I don't think that this is one person. I think that you confound people quite a bit. But you're actually, I'm seeing this as being more kind of your energy. This is kind of a wiser energy. And this is a gentler feminine energy. And it's in the darkness. I'm getting a lot of truth here. So I feel like you reflect truth back to people, and you are a light in people's lives, and they try to mimic you quite often. I also feel like that you're very comfortable in your own skin, and that you're also very attuned to nature, and you're very centered and grounded. I'm getting to not like that word so much because I just remember really struggling with what that word actually means for such a long time. I was like, what does that mean to be grounded? And people would say, kind of go into your, walk in bare feet and all that kind of stuff. But it's just one of those kind of things that you just have to get to being in a centered kind of place before you understand what that is. And it's reminding me of, when they turn the temperature up on, it's probably not a good example, but when you're cooking crabs or lobster, you cook them live, and you start off with warm water, and they don't notice, and then they go to sleep, and then all of a sudden it's hot water, and they get cooked. And I feel like that's what people have kind of almost. If they came at you direct in your face, you would know I'm not about that. But what they've tried to do, I guess it's kind of almost like gaslighting, undermining your reality, or pushing your boundaries, inching, until you're so ratcheted up that you're out of your groundedness, and you probably didn't notice it happening. And it always reminds me of Abraham Hicks will say, like, it just takes 17 seconds. Like, if you can just focus on something from 17 seconds. But she also talks about how momentum. So if you're on, those, we call them roundabouts in Ireland, but those in the playgrounds, they used to have, I don't know if they have them anymore, because they can be kind of dangerous. And I used to be quite afraid of them when I was a child, because you would always have some bigger kids in the playground that would be on those things, and they would just go crazy, and you'd just get knocked around, and you'd end up feeling dizzy, and it was too much momentum, and it didn't feel safe to me. But if you try and stop one of those really quickly, you're just going to go flying off. Can you imagine if something is just spinning so fast and then you hit it dead? You would go flying off. And I think that people, that's what it reminds me of. Like, over time, that so many people have kind of piled on the straw that broke the camel's back. One more person, one more thing on your plate, in order to kind of, what I'm getting is that you're the magician, and that they could see your potential, that they could see that you were looking out for your ships to come in, and they knew your ships were always going to come in. They knew that you were going to have like material abundance. We've got the 2, 4, and 6 of Pentacles. You were going to always grow to that place. We're seeing Wands energy. You always followed your own your own inner guidance, no matter what people tried to throw and project at you. And they knew that that would lead you to this wheel of fortune, that you would be discerning in your own right. And you were discerning. I'm getting, even when you were little, I'm thinking back to when I was a little kid. My family used to call me Spock. And I never understood why. They said it was because I had pointy ears, which I don't. Nobody has ears like Spock. In fact, everyone in our family has really teeny tiny ears, to the point where, like, when I was a bit older, you know, because people can sometimes, like, you know, we call it, well, in Ireland, the phrase is you can slag people off for having, you know, kind of big ears. And we had a lot of people with bigger ears would be called Dumbo and things like that. But we had really teeny tiny ears relative to anyone I've ever seen. I'm not joking. And it's like my whole family. But they, like, when I was a bit older, people used to be like, are you sure, like, you can hear me because your ears are so small, and all this kind of thing. But I think you had ears to hear and eyes to see, and you were very discerning. And I think that even from a very young age, within your own friend groups, within your own family, within your own sibling groups, the communities that you joined, the bands that you joined as you grew up through your life, you would have people who would see that light in you. And I mean, look at the light here. And Mick the Meomancer is about patience, and it's about the details and the small clues. And I think you were very discerning, and you picked up on things like, well, but you said this, then why are you doing that? So I think a lot of gaslighting and confusion was thrown at you. But what it really did is it helped you to, before it caused a lot of pain, I can feel that really, really strongly from you, because you were surrounded by competition. Even though you were playful and you took it in good stride, as best you can, you really didn't have a lot of support. And you really didn't have anyone kind of on your side. This is what I'm getting for your haters. And I'm getting this as like multiple people in multiple areas of your life. They were like, how can we slow them down? How can we throw a spoke in the wheel? How can we keep them at our level? If we don't, they will leave. And they're not, a lot of that was subconscious. It wasn't like, even then when you started to have probably relationships and things like that, you just were never meeting your, I don't want to say match, it's just that you came in with a very, very strong frequency in the beginning, and you may resonate with the starseed thing, or you may resonate with like being an earth angel or something. Like maybe you were the cycle breaker in your family. Maybe in your family there was generational karma. I mean, look at all of the whole, your chakras were very, very aligned and very bright and light. Like look at the orange, the solar plexus, these are very spiritual, your whole body being very grounded. And then even in competition, like we're seeing the red here, like I'm feeling like you were very rooted. You brought color, you brought life, you brought joy into every situation that you came into, whether you knew it or not. It was like, you know, in The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy lands in Oz, it goes from black and white to Technicolor. I think you had that impact on the people that you, the communities that you entered into as you came up through life. And you were so focused on the details and patience is not about like sitting there waiting. It's like, what are you doing in that time? You're engaged, you're focused on the details, you're doing something because it's a labor of love. Like other people might be doing things for, you know, for the accolades. They might be doing things to win. They might be doing things so that people will say that they're great. But I don't get that from you at all. And you were just very, I'm hearing the little drummer boy. You were just marching to the beat of your own drum from a very, very early age. And you were always going to help the wheel of fortune turn in the favor of others that were around you, and also of yourself. But you had to move away because they were trying to pull you down into their frequency rather than allowing themselves to raise up to your frequency. And the problem with that is that over time you get depleted and you don't have as much to give. And you know that phrase that a rising tide raises all boats. It's a lack of understanding on their part. And I'm hearing, oh, they think they're so great. He thinks he's so great. She thinks she's so great. And it's just a complete misunderstanding, but not without consequences, because when you're leveraging that energy at somebody else, like they have to take the time to kind of either defend themselves, heal from it. Like if you run over somebody's foot and break their foot, they're not going to be able to go out and run a marathon because they have to put their time and energy into healing. They have to go to the hospital. They have to wear a cast. They have to wait for the bones to knit back together. If you're, somebody who is an incredible guitarist or an incredible pianist, and you break your hand, you might never get back to that beautiful dexterity without incredible pain and incredible amount of time. Like it shortens your journey. And again, I'm hearing, how do we slow them down? Epona's Wild Daughter talks about inner shadows, nightmare, depression, madness, and growth. So I feel like that's really bringing forth to me that you did incarnate into one of these either families, or you came from a family and then you wandered off into other communities where your light was needed. You're kind of, that moth to a flame. So your energy attracted people, but they thought that they could just do the thing, mimic you. And I'm seeing somebody going, this is broken, it's not working for me, kind of shaking, shaking the machine, like kicking the vending machine or smacking the telly to get it to work. That's not how you do it. It's like you have to take a breath, and the wiring needs to be right inside it. So an expert needs to come and needs to fix whatever is the problem. You can't just smack it and hope that it starts working again, no matter what you see on television. And I think you have a very old soul and a very wise and pure frequency. Like you've got very strong karmas, like from your south node. I'm also getting, with all the color for you, I'm getting a lot of inner child stuff. So I think this happened for you, this was how you were in younger life. So that's why I think I'm getting a real familial vibe from you. But when you come into a family situation where you have that competitiveness, where you have that toxicity, where you have tall children being the head of the household. And what I mean by tall children, I mean people who have aged, but they haven't learned how to be emotionally and spiritually mature, and they haven't dealt with their own baggage, and they are just living in, they're caught up in their own traumas, but don't recognize that they're kind of dumping their baggage on you. I know I talk about him a lot in my channel, John Deloney, and he always says that, parents who don't deal with their own emotional stuff, I'm just going to call it stuff, but the things, the fears and all that kind of stuff that they have as a child, like what happens then is that he talks about how one time his wife said to him, and he's a therapist, his wife said to him one time, like, you have a nuclear reactor in your chest, And a lot of people have grown up with parents or caregivers who are carrying emotional pain, and they just think that, well, mentally I can override that and I'm not going to put it on my child. But you're still carrying that frequency, you're still carrying that energy until you alchemize it, until you deal with until you alchemize it and metabolize what you're carrying in your body, in your psyche, in your mental space, in our emotional space. We're still carrying that, and the body picks up on that. And as we go from, the 3D into the 5D, and as we move from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, it's becoming like you can see a lot of the stuff that's come to light, especially with the rate that technology is moving forward. Like, for example, like the things that they couldn't tell 20 years ago, 50 years ago, the amount of crime that's been solved, for example, now, because we have the technology to be able to go back and look at the blood, to find the people or exonerate people, for the truth to come out that people thought that they would get away with. And that's happening on an individual level, not just in the kind of the true crime space, but also, and in the political space, but also in the physicality of our bodies, the physicality of the psychic gifts that we have, the ESP. Like the military has been practicing ESP for a long time. Things like remote viewing and that kind of stuff. All those what were not regarded as that were regarded as woo-woo. That was all kind of how do I want to put it? That was all kind of sold as being BS to us, but of course it's not. All that esoteric stuff, well, if you're on a tarot channel, you probably believe that. But they have been practicing that, so what has been hidden is now coming to light. If they didn't believe it, they wouldn't have invested time and money. Like, look at all that stuff that's coming out about MK Ultra and all the experiments and drugs and all that kind of stuff that the military were involved in. And I'm using the military as an example. That's only one thing. Like, look at all the cults. Look at how those tactics are used against people who don't have the support or the foundation to withstand that. And I think that has been your journey. And I think that that's why people are jealous of you, because you were able to come up out of this. How far you are in your journey, you seem to be pretty far, actually, because you've got the Emperor, you've got the King of Swords, you've got the Four of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles. I'm not really seeing any negatively aspected cards at this point in your journey, except for the Five of Wands and Oh That's Gnome. And that's them looking at you. This is you moving away from that. You've turned the Wheel of Fortune. You've come out of this this competitive frequency and mindset. You've learned how to tap back into your own creativity, your own spirituality, your own alchemy, your own entirety of your being. And the fact that you've got the Three of Wands here makes me think that maybe it hasn't manifested yet. And I love this one because it's got the unicorn horn here and the crystals in the background. So you're sitting, and again it's reminding me of patience reiterated here. So whatever it is that you're birthing, it's coming. You've got the feather and you've got the sword here with the King of Swords. So you're very, very spiritually protected. I mean, you've got two kings on the board and the Emperor. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenon. So you have really had to be in your masculine energies, which makes me think that maybe you're actually quite the divine feminine, that you might have had to really learn how to master this masculine side in order to be able to protect not only your divine feminine. And if you can see here as well, there's the owl here, and the owl always reminds me of Athena, and Athena was born fully armored. She emerged fully armored from her mother, and you know, she was a warrior, but she was also she was the goddess of wisdom as well. So we've got wisdom and patience. We've got a long-term kind of, like, you've had to play the long game, whether you knew it or not. That's why that was part of your journey. And I've got here, this is from the Sacred Activations, Sacred Geometry Activations, and we've got integration. So over the course of your cycles in your life, and look at this, this is screaming 1, 2, 3. So we've got, that's the divine masculine and that's the divine feminine. And then we've got it on the out here as well. In the light, and I'm hearing liquid light for you. So you're really the magician. You've had to you've had to learn how to root yourself and heal your root chakra. But you've done this through your connection and connecting with your divinity. And even though heart chakra is not quite on the board here, you can't do that without being connected to your heart. So I'm seeing for you, pile number 1, a really, really, really strong crown chakra right now. I'm seeing like just this liquid light pouring down. You're probably getting incredible amounts of downloads at the moment. There's a lot happening astrologically, but everything that you have encountered on your path up until now, you have really beautifully integrated. And I'm getting, this is actually really reminding me of this. You have had to, in order to be able to not only protect your femininity and your softness and your heart and your innocence and your purity, you have had to you've had to learn how to really step into your masculine energy and have a healthy and balanced warrior. I'm getting very strong wounded warrior for you. I'm actually surprised that the 9 of Wands didn't come out, but you've got the 5 of Wands. So I'm sure that you've been defending, you've had to defend a lot. I can feel from you, and I think that they don't really want you to focus on your pain in so much as, because so much of it's integrated now. And we've got 30 here, which breaks down into a 3. The frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves. Yeah, because remember we were talking about all of your chakras and all of your experience and all areas of your life. This has been a whole, and it is for everyone, but for you particularly, it's manifested in your journey to stepping into, and I hate that word, journey, your path, your experience to be solid in your personal power. And you can't do that so much when you're younger because you're dependent on other people. But as an adult, you have really, really had to learn how to let your yeses be yeses and your noes be noes. How to stand. I'm seeing this as being standing in truth and not letting anybody gaslight you. The frequency of integration supports our embrace of every aspect of ourselves, allowing what we perceive as positive and what we perceive as negative to harmonize in a balanced symphony of life. That really kind of sums up your story to date. And if that doesn't resonate with you, I'd recommend that you maybe pick another pile. If it hasn't manifested as much, like so obviously in your 3D life, it's definitely happening on a soul level, on a more subtler level. But But I see it very strongly for you manifesting kind of, definitely incarnating into this. You may have had to go it alone is what I'm trying to say. You might either have had to figuratively go it alone and just say, no, I'm not going to let you gaslight me. This is what I'm going to do. I'm standing in my personal power, and this is the truth of whatever. Whether or not you've had to move away from people who refuse to accept your personal power and who you are, or whether you've literally had to move away from people like that and start over. Because sometimes the Six of Swords can be, like in the traditional tarot, it's the journey down the river Styx, which is from the transformation from one world to another. So you may have had to do that, and then become emperor of your own existence. And the fact that not so much of the feminine energies are showing up there, I think that then the next stage of your life. So you might have also been, I'm getting a lot of reactive abuse as well around you as well. People trying to provoke you into fighting, when I'm getting a real softness from you. And the next stage, what people are jealous of about you is that you are moving out of this competitive, you're just like, if you want to fight, I will defend myself, but you don't go looking for a fight. And they're not able to provoke you into fighting, you will leave. And I think that's why people are really jealous of you, because you're next, whether it's happening now, I kind of feel like from this card that you're in this stage of patience and in between stages, and you're moving. And this is backed up by the integration card. I think that the next stage, like if I was to pull another spread for you in a year's time, I think we would see the Empress, we would see the Star, a lot more of those kind of energies on the board. They're all there for you, but we're asking the question, why are people jealous of you? It's because this didn't work. They were not able to make you them. They were not able to pull you down to their level. They were not able to corrupt your heart space. They were not able to take your light away. And that's why people are jealous of you, pile number one. So you have such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. If you feel battle weary and you question whether you're a good person because you have attracted so much conflict in your life, it's because of your light. So if nobody has told you this, your energy is absolutely beautiful. People have been trying to reactively get you to react and trying to pull you off your path your whole life. And you're moving away from that. And you're moving into softer days, softer nights, and you're going to be able to breathe. So enjoy the time that you have now. And you can dive back into your creativity or whatever it is. I'm hearing more fun for you, more release, more breathing. You might notice yourself relaxing more, spending more time in nature, maybe reading for relaxation, moving from a time of kind of fixing things, defending things, into watching your garden flourish now, because you've put in the hard yards. So I'm going to leave it there, pile number one. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you like my content, I would love it if you would like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I would love to see you again at another reading, pile number one. So take care of yourself, and I hope to see you at another reading, pile number one. Bye. Pile number two. You had this beautiful sand from Cuba. I'll put that over here. And I'll put your number 2 here. So for you, pile number 2, we are going to pull a couple of medicine cards, animal medicine cards for you. And then we'll pull some tarot as well. Pile number 2. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Dolphin medicine. Beautiful. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Otter spirit. Oh, I love that. Okay, 40 and 8. And let's pull some tarot for you before we get into it. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Oh, we've got the devil first out. And we've got the star. 2 major arcana straight out the gate. I am going to have to cover some things. Two major arcana straight out the gate. Wow. Pile number 2. Why are people jealous of you? Why are people jealous of you, pile number 2? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Whoops. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Emperor. Oh my God. Major arcana again. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? You guys are powerful, pile number 2. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Hermit. 4 major arcana in a row. Then you've got the 6 of Wands. Page of Pentacles. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? 4 of Cups. 9 of Wands. Knight of Cups. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Death card. Wow. You have got 5 major arcana on the board. 5 major arcana on deck. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? One more, Spirit. And the Knight of Wands. Okay. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ace of Wands as well for you. I'll just leave that here. Okay. Why are people jealous of my pile number 2s? Well, straight away, you've got your energy is really powerful. People get addicted to you. They see you as a wish fulfillment, as their kind of the answer to their prayers. They want you to see them in a certain way, because they want to live up to who you are, who they see you as. They see you as very high. They put you on a pedestal and they don't give you the grace to be able to fill up that space, to make mistakes, to be in your page, to be a beginner, to fall down. And when you don't live up to their expectations, they're very harsh with you. I'm seeing the wounded warrior here. They see you as very successful, and they also see you as very independent and not needing them. They want you to need them. I think that you attract a lot of codependent people because you are so strong. Dolphin medicine it talks about the breath of life. So I'm hearing that you're a breath of fresh air. And dolphins can go really deep and really low down, and they're very playful and very community oriented. And both of these animals actually, and dolphins are not fish; they're mammals, but they're both water based. Obviously, this is land. Otter is land and water, but they're both swimmers. And I just feel that, like, I'm hearing, water is life, water is very healing. You've got this beautiful, and of course the star card represents healing, as well as wish fulfillment, as well as, kind of fame and all those things. But I think when people are around you, the rhythm of you, the rhythm of life. There's a song, and the rhythm of life has a powerful beat. Feel the tingle in your fingers and a tingle in your feet. Rhythm in the bedroom, rhythm in the street. Just the rhythm of life has a powerful beat. The rhythm of life when you're in their life is they can breathe. You're very grounding. You're very healing to be around. You know what to do in a crisis. They don't feel as messed up when they're in relationship with you, and that's kind of telling me that you're bringing a lot more to the table than they are. And I want to say that more on an emotional level and more probably on a mental level. I think that you bring so much kind of behind the scenes. I used to work in this place back in the day, where it was saying that everybody is in technology. It was a boutique place where creativity and technology met. So let's say a Google of way back when, but kind of a boutique place. And they used to always say that technology is invisible. When technology is done well, you just don't see it. And I feel like your energy is the technology. You're the one who engineers this social space. You're the one who engineers, whether it's a workspace, a family space, a friend space. Your energy is the one that is the coding, for want of a better word, that is the technology that makes it function, that makes it run smoothly. And it's I think it was Billy Carson was saying, could you imagine, like, who here knows how to build a mobile phone? So much of our or the internet, so much of our daily lives now, like, even though it's globalization, like, what do you not do on your phone? We do our banking on our phone or on the internet. We pay our bills, we do our banking, we buy our groceries often with, cards and things like that. If those systems go down, like, work kind of stops. There's very few people who live off grid now. And when and if all that goes down, or, if we lose power, we lose our Wi-Fi. So we're cut off. So as long as we have the power, we can keep going. And I think you're also the power that drives a lot of the communities that you're in. And I think when you and people see you as successful, and they want you to want them, but you're very independent. You're good at building. Your page is student energy. And they looked at you as being someone who wasn't bringing much to the table, because maybe you were young or at the start of your career, or you didn't have the money, or you were at the start of your education, but you were offering something to them that they just didn't recognize. And because of that, they put on you in all the ways that ended up you feeling like the wounded warrior, Nine of Wands, and they were coming at you in kind of Knight of Cups energy, thinking that they were the emperor when you were the emperor all along. And what I mean by that is that, I guess, the Knight of Cups, he can be a bit delusional in terms of, and you've got the Knight of Wands as well. So you might have had people who were in and out. You might have had people who were like delusional insofar as thinking that they were the ones bringing all of the good stuff to the table and they were the ones who had success. You might have been around people that had a lot of material success or even had a lot of, let's say, intellectual success. And I work in academia. I'm not an academic, but I support a lot of academics. And when you focus just on one of the intelligences, and what I mean by that is if you don't also pay attention to your intuition, if you don't also pay attention to your emotional space, if you don't also pay attention to your financial space, if you don't also pay attention to the relationships in your life, if you don't also pay attention to, the long-term view as well as your vibration in the moment, if you only focus on your intellect, you're not engaging your entire beingness in a way. You're out of balance, basically, without knowing that you're out of balance. And I think people have underestimated you. And even though I think a lot of, they liked how they felt when you were around. And you could be a bit of, they may have mistaken you for being a people pleaser. And maybe you had people pleaser tendencies, especially in the early days when you didn't have power and and I'm hearing reciprocity. So maybe you were one of these people who experienced a lot of like, okay, I'll go first, I'll give first. And then they were like, haha, sucker. If you're giving it, I'm taking it. And then they're out like the Knight of Wands. So maybe you had a lot of false starts with people where you thought that they were one way, but they were actually another way. And you didn't recognize that you were bringing more to the table. Over time, they could have gaslit you. Or maybe you did know, but you were just like confused all the time as to why do these people keep beating up on me? And when is my success coming in? Because I'm investing, and I'm hearing that quote, what is it, the Gandhi quote, be the change that you see in the world. But also have discernment. You also have to be the emperor of your own existence. And we've got like a strong root chakra here. We've got the orange for creativity, and we've got yellow for the solar plexus. So you need to have all of the pieces moving. You might have experienced, a lot of people just kind of not recognizing, again, I think I said this earlier, not recognizing what you were offering. And then when you moved away, because we've got death energy here, you bring a lot of death energy when your needs are not being met. It might take you a long time to get there when you're so overwhelmed and overburdened that you can't see the woods from the trees. But when you're in clarity, and when you're able to hear your own frequency, when you're able to play, because dolphins notoriously play, and also dolphin medicine really reminds us to breathe, and when you're able to have the space to breathe, when you're able to, the dolphin is the keeper of the sacred breath. So I think breath work is probably really, could be really valuable. It's valuable for everyone, but I think it could be especially valuable for you. So you may be into yoga and pranayama, fire breath, that kind of thing. And then there's the analoma viloma, where that balances the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. And then otter spirit. Otter is the it's a very feminine medicine, and otter, they're very playful, but they're also very social creatures. So we're back to, I think you're very socially dexterous, but people may have mistaken that as being more of kind of a doormat than actually it was. And you were just left there going, Why is everyone just trying to get one over on me after a pattern of noticing that you're not being reciprocated to, because they didn't see who you were and you may not have seen who they were, because, you know, liars lie. And if they had been, and I don't know, it's necessarily that liars lie. First and foremost, they lie to themselves. If you think about the whole believing your own BS kind of thing. People who try to dominate other people who have never heard the word no in their lives, people who have been around people who were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, but didn't have, let's say, the emotional, didn't have the emotional balance. You know, somebody who grew up with, let's say, all materialism, but without the spiritual or the emotional kind of foundation, for want of a better word. That can lead to imbalance, and that can lead people to be a false, like, to think of themselves as being more of an emperor than they are. They think because they're winning in the material world sometimes that God is on their side, or that they're manifesting. And they are, we're all manifesting all the time. But it's reminding me, something that I was came across recently was the difference between kind of vibration and frequency. I feel like they were in a lower frequency and you were in a higher frequency. And they tried to pull you down to their frequency somewhat. And not even necessarily intentionally, just by looking at the surface level of like, well, I'm materially successful. I'm thinking of like the phrase toxic positivity, and back to that idea is because they think they're winning in the material world. They think that that God is on their side. They think that they're in harmony they think that they have got a high frequency. But there's a difference between vibration and frequency. The way I'm looking at it is, vibration is to, let's say, weather. Vibration is to frequency as, you know, day-to-day weather is to climate, for example, or the way mood is to personality. So one is more in the moment, but still there's an overarching climate. Or if you think about it in temperature and heat. So you can have something that's a very high temperature, like I'm seeing the flame here. Has anyone ever put their finger through the flame of a candle? You can do that. And I've done that thing. I went to a Tony Robbins thing as well, you know, where he has you walk on fire. Like you do that for you walk on hot coals for a certain length, and you prime your body and you train and you walk, and it doesn't burn the bottom of your feet. But if you were to sit down in those hot coals, or if you were to hold your hand in the fire for any length of time, it would start to burn. So it's how much of it. It's critical mass. So if you're in a high vibration for a long time, like lifetimes or a lifetime, your frequency is going to be much higher than if you are always around people with lower frequencies, and you're always having to work to keep your vibration higher. Like it's easier to stay in a higher vibration when you're around people who understand to be or who want to be, or who understand to be at a higher frequency. Just because life is throwing stuff at you, which ultimately we're all throwing it at ourselves, even though other people have free will. If you know, you know. I'm thinking of the dark night of the soul. Just because you're in a dark night of the soul does not mean that you're not at a higher frequency than someone who appears to have it all going on. That's what I'm trying to say. So people are jealous of you because they see you overcoming your addictions, moving through your dark night of the soul, learning from your ego deaths, and not letting them leave their baggage with you, and not letting them live in the deception that in your dynamic that they're the one who's the emperor and you're the page. You're not about that. You're just like, we're both emperors in our own world, so like, let's go from there. And when they're not able to do that, you bring death energy into it, because you're like, I'm not with this one, Knight of Wands carry on. I want a successful, whatever it is, business relationship, life, marriage, career, whatever it is. You want success, and you understand that success comes from building, from accepting Spirit's cup, from having balance and play, overcoming your addictions, and being a healthy person, and going inward to your own essence, instead of expecting to feed off of other people to get that for yourself. You believe in the truth. And it's interesting that death is the side that is between the two knights. Very, very interesting. So that's what I have for you, pile number 2. You are inspiring jealousy in other people because you are learning, you are growing, you are ascending, you're accelerating, and you will not let them keep you bound in something that is unhealthy, something that is and that phrase, something that doesn't serve you, something that is just not towards the light, is what I'm going to say. You're not about that. And you're like, you can come too. You can grow too. If I can do it, you can do it. Because I don't see that you look down on anyone whatsoever. I feel like you are very equal, and you do feel like people can do it themselves. And you really encourage people to do themselves. But as you know, people don't always want to do the work themselves. So you can't do somebody else's push-ups for them. You can't think their thoughts for them. You can't feel their feelings for them. You can only meet them where they are. And if that's where they want to stay, you can keep going. And I believe that's what you've done. And I think that's why people are jealous of you, because they tried to slow you down. So I'm going to leave it there, pile number 2. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like my content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will hopefully see you at another reading. So pile number 3. Pile number 3. You had this beautiful choker. And this is from Ireland. So we're going to take a couple of these For Love of Dragon Oracle cards for you, and we will pull some tarot for you. So pile number 3. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? 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 Tap me into the energy of the people who are jealous of pile number 3. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? The Compassionate and the Waymaker. Okay. And we'll pull some tarot for you as well, pile number 3. The Compassionate and the Waymaker. It's interesting. These are almost, I'm going to put them side by side because, look, they're looking opposite directions, and they've both got like a small dragon in their, and they're holding like baby dragons. Okay, so you have got the 6 of Cups. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Oh, the 5 of Cups. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? 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 Ace of Cups. Ooh. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Page of Cups. Why are people... all cups so far. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? 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 Okay, that's too many, Spirit. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? The Moon. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? That's more water energy. It's Cancer energy. Justice. Woo. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? 2 major arcana. The World. My gosh. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? 7 of Wands. Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Why are people jealous of pile number 3? Page of Wands. King of Wands. Gorgeous. And the Devil. We had the Devil in the last card, in the last pile as well. And at the bottom of the deck, you've got the Lovers. Okay. People are jealous of you, pile number 3. Because no matter what they do to you, it's not that you don't fight back. It's that you understand that they're coming from a place of toxicity. And what I mean by toxicity, I mean that they're coming from a place of being bound, a place of not knowing the truth, a place of illusion. People are jealous of you because they know you from, they feel your innocence and your power and your strength. People are jealous of you because people feel safe around you and they like you. And also their inner child feels safe around you and they feel like home when you're around. And when you turn your energy away to spirit or to work on yourself, or when you make a choice that they don't like, they take it very personally. They take it as a slight against themselves. And they're overcome with despair and grief. Because your energy is so compassionate and they feel like that they can make their way in the world. Because the world's hard. They feel like they can make their way in the world when your energy is on them. But they don't understand that they have that within them. Pile number 3, People are jealous of you because, and if this is a specific person, which I'm getting for you, it might be. This person, they might know you from when you were younger, or maybe, like I said, maybe it's you made their inner child feel really, really safe, or you really made their inner child feel really, really seen. With the Page of Cups, I'm also getting that you were very loving and very playful with them. And they liked being in that energy. They felt good about who they were when you were around them. They felt closer to happiness, to divinity when you were around them. They wouldn't have called it that though. They found you to be incredibly compassionate. And when you would put in a boundary, or if they weren't meeting your needs, when you made a choice for yourself instead of for them, They may have said that you were not compassionate and that you were turning your back on them, that you were not supporting them. Don't mistake the finger pointing to the moon for the moon itself. They relied on you for your intuition, but refused to I'm seeing them in page energy, refusing to develop that themselves. And you can only do that for so long. Like if you're constantly having to, they may have been a bit of a leveler. They may have been a bit in and out. Like, that if they're codependent in any way, which I'm getting from the devil, and the Page of Wands kind of being in and out, they might have seen you as, they might have felt like the King of Wands in your presence. I'm getting Kuan Yin energy from the Compassionate and from the King of Wands, because I'm seeing the peacock feathers here. But this is also the Phoenix. So it's a culmination of rebirth. And no matter what happened, they felt like that they could get through anything if you were with them. And underneath the lovers is the Tower, actually, which is interesting. And they feel, and in this deck, the Tower is Rapunzel. So they feel isolated without you, even though they didn't feel like they had to give, because they saw you as being so intuitive and so creative and they felt so good around you that your very act of turning to yourself, looking in the mirror, they felt the karmic repercussions of that. And what I mean by that is that when like a solar eclipse, like an eclipse, when the sun is blocked out, it's pitch dark. So when you took your light away, they couldn't see, but they were not willing to go in and look at their own light. And they were like, when you moved away from them, even if you were side by side with them, but you turned your attention, your energy, your warmth to other people, to other interests, to another source. Maybe, let's say, for example, this was a romantic relationship and you both wanted different things. And maybe you went along with what they want, and you guys had talked about, this is what I want, this is what you want, and you're very collaborative rather than competitive. And collaboration means we both get what we want, and we figure out how to make that happen, and we figure out together what we're willing to let go of. But I guess compromise and and competition more, if you're not working together, it's one against the other. And you may have been with somebody that was like, as long as they were getting what they needed, they were happy in the relationship. But you were kind of just waiting for your turn, let's say. And that as soon as you started to focus on, okay, now we've done your thing, now it's time to do my thing. Maybe they, maybe they were like, no, I'm hearing that phrase that it takes two to tango, but it only takes one to burn the place down. That power of that passive aggressiveness. So it's if they were not on board with what you wanted to do, you might have felt that energetically when you started to move into building making decisions about what you wanted, and kind of just saying, well, it's time now. So I feel like you were diligently working away at whatever it was in the relationship, and you were very giving, but it never the pendulum never swung around for them to be the giver. And in a lot of those imbalanced relationships. I'm just hearing that they knew that they weren't being fair. They knew that they were kind of they were happy to kind of hitch their wagon to your star, I guess. They were happy for you to do the work. They were happy for you to do things on their timeline, on their desires. And they were happy to do it on your dime. And when I say your dime, I don't mean that you necessarily showed up with the money. We've got a lot of cups here. So I feel like your emotional investment was really, really strong. And as soon as you turned that emotional investment away from what they were doing or away from what they wanted, they got kind of belligerent and childish about it. And maybe you were in a relationship where it seemed like on the surface it was more collaborative than it was, and you were thinking it was more sequential. I keep going back to that, it's my turn now, when all the time they kind of knew you were never going to get your turn. That's kind of how I'm feeling. And I think that's how this person shows up in the world. They're kind of like, they like to win rather than they like to collaborate. And I think you are someone who likes to, you genuinely like to have emotional fulfillment. But I think that there were certain things that you still hadn't gotten to that you wanted to get to. And they had the world when they had you, but you didn't. You were working very, very hard, and you were kind of in and out somewhat with your own stuff because they took up so much of your time and energy. And it wasn't until you kind of recognized their devilish ways and potentially your own, this also could be something internal for you, which would make sense how you would manifest that kind of relationship as well. That you were giving to somebody else rather than giving of yourself. So the devil within you, your toxicity, addictions, your need for approval, whatever it is, I'm using these as examples. Take it how it fits, take it how it resonates, but don't make it fit if it doesn't suit you. Choose another pile. But I think you experienced a lot of grief in this relationship, and I'm hearing micro griefs. But over time, I think we talked, was it in the last reading we talked about this, where, you know, the difference between vibration and frequency. Over time, the buildup of all these small little disappointments just ended up like lowering your frequency overall in a relationship where you were serving the needs of somebody else, but they were not able to serve you, and they didn't have the intention to serve you. And on some level, your frequency was getting lowered because your aura and your body and your soul could pick up on that, and it was being drained. Your energy was being drained. And I'm surprised that the Hermit card didn't come out. If you ended this relationship or you put boundaries in, they're seeing they're feeling the karmic justice, and so are you. And the karmic justice for you is that you're getting what you want. You're becoming the king of wands. You're overcoming your own addictions, and they're having to deal with theirs. So this is coming across very much as a codependent relationship. That could have been, it could have been, you know, it could have been something like a caregiver. It could be parent-child. It could be spousal. It could be a friendship. It could be in business. It could be, take it however it resonates for you. But there was some length of time that went into its emotional investment. And I'm getting the adding up of the disappointments and the underlying, your intuition knew that it was draining your energy. But you had to boss up in order to take your energy back, in order to be able to fulfill yourself in a way that you were not being nourished in this. And we've got compassion here again, the compassionate, the compassionate. Something else that I'm hearing is that it's not compassion. Also, I'm hearing Brené Brown saying that you cannot be compassionate without having boundaries. So whoever this person that you're thinking of didn't like your boundaries. And maybe also didn't like the truth. I'm seeing the sort of truth here in the Justice card as well. The truth is that they were feeding off of you, and that it wasn't a healthy relationship. It wasn't reciprocal, and over time, maybe it wasn't so obvious, but the undercurrent was that it was not reciprocal. So compassion. The frequency of compassion supports our ability to stand by others without judgment and be the divine mediator between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, so that unconditional love can flow from source through our heart and into the world. So I feel like you may not have been able to. Compassion was also being self-compassionate for you. You had to walk away from a situation or a relationship or a situationship, whatever the dynamic was that was feeding off of you and that was never going to give back to you in the long run. Because over time it was just energy leakage, and over time it was just. And you can't borrow from Peter to pay Paul, insofar as that you can't have a relationship where there's no reciprocity, and then just get that from somebody else. Because effectively what you're doing is you're just, in this relationship, you're being depleted, but then you're feeding off of somebody else to make up for this person. So it's kind of like almost, what do you call that? Propagating vampirism. And that's not compassionate to another person. It's not compassionate to yourself. And ultimately, it's not compassionate to the person who is vampiring off of you, because they need to learn how to step into their own power, use their intuition as well as their guile and their intellect, and receive from spirit and build up their own capacity to be the King of Wands in their own energy. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. If you like my content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you at another reading. Take care. Bye.